Hey guys, it's the controls guy here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add two BACnet MSTP networks to your JACE or EC for the purpose of integrating to Distech controllers. So, as you can see, I've already logged into the station, the platform on my JACE or EC The first thing that I want to do is open up Palette by going to Window, Sidebar, Palette, and I want to open up my Distech Controls palette. And inside of my Distech Controls palette, I'm going to go ahead and go into Drivers, BACnet, and find the BCP BACnet Network driver. Back at the JACE, I want to go into my Station, Config, and I want to go into my Drivers. I want to drag the BCP BACnet Network over to my driver. I'm going to go ahead and leave the name as the default. And I've created a BACnet network under my JACE or my EC boss. Now notice that the discover key is grayed out. In order to discover BACnet devices, there's a couple things that we're going to have to edit. Under the BCP BACnet network driver, if you double click on local device, we are going to find that our default object ID is -1. I'm going to go ahead and change it to 1000. This object ID is the object ID of a JACE. I'm going to go ahead and make it 1000 just because that's my default. After I make it 1000 and click save, status goes OK, and my JACE now takes the BACnet device ID of 1000. The next thing that I want to do is actually add my MSTP networks to my JACE, and to do this I'm going to go into BACnet COM, and I'm going to go ahead and add the MSTP ports under the network tab here. Back at the palette, underneath the BACnet folder, you're going to see another folder called Network Ports. Inside, you'll find 3 ports: IP, Ethernet, and MSTP. We're going to go ahead and take this MSTP port and drag it over underneath our network, and we're going to call it MSTP port 1. And we're going to drag another one, and we're going to call it MSTP port 2. These are going to represent the 2 BACnet MSTP ports on your JACE. These two are going to be the 2 MSTP ports on the JACE, this RS45A port, COM1, and the RS45B port, or COM2. Now back at the workbench, under MSTP port 1, there's a couple things that we have to input, one of them being the network number. I'm going to go ahead and call the network number for this MSTP port network number 1000. And I'm going to give it a port name. I want to leave it as COM1. I'm going to give it a baud rate, and I'm going to leave the rest of the settings as default, and I'm going to go ahead and enable it. Once I click save, our status reads OK, and then I'm going to go into MSTP port 2. I'm going to go ahead and give it a network number of 2000. I'm going to go ahead and give it the port name of COM2, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a baud rate of 38.4. And I'm going to go ahead and enable it and save, and it should read OK. So now that when I go back to the BCP BACnet network, my discover key is now available. Now, if your discover key isn't available, there is a chance that your BACnet network isn't enabled under the AX property sheet. This enabled key right here could be reading false, and when it's false, and we go back to discover, we can see that it's grayed out. So if it's grayed out even after making all those changes, there's a chance that this could be disabled over here. Now let's go back to the device manager and go ahead and click discover, and it gives us the option to select individual networks to discover from. We're going to go ahead and discover on both of these networks. Keep in mind that network number 1000 is MSTP port 1, and network number 2000 is MSTP port 2. Once I click discover, we'll wait for the JACE to discover any BACnet devices. As we can see, it discovered one Distech controller in ECB 403 under network 1000. So this is under your MSTP port 1, and it's going to be a MAC address of 126. I'm going to go ahead and add it. And that's how you add 2 BACnet MSTP ports to your Distech JACE or your EC boss.